Jammer.
I-
Sorry, I'm trying to relate to you as an individual. Then you know I'm now hot for. Guys, we had to re-record this.
Ek kan ook Afrikaans praat. Dankie. Ja. Dis 'n plesier. Ja.
That was pretty good.
Thanks.
What did you get for Afrikaans?
You know what I got? I got a better mark for Afrikaans than I did English.
But first additional, so love that.
I had no idea I was writing in Afrikaans. I always just, the famous, there's this word in the question. This word is also in a paragraph in this story. Write that entire sentence and you'll get it right. You're welcome.
Yes, just quote directly, plagiarize. It's so fine. Hi guys, welcome to this episode of the 4Words podcast, where we talk about entrepreneurs building creative collaboration. And today I have a very special guest. She is new to the full-time team. Introduce yourself.
Firstly, I would like to say thank you for the job, guys.
You're very welcome.
Shout out my homegirl, Kate.
And me?
You're here with me.
Okay, I was about to say, I also hired you. I participated in that decision.
Hi guys, I'm Shaylah. I'm the new graphic designer for Full-Time Creatives. I just joined the team, loving it here.
Yeah, she's actually been on the job for 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh, it feels like so much longer.
I think obviously you were an intern before, but in terms of like official employment, she's been with us for about 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
As of filming, I think when they see it, it'll be quite a bit longer. So today's podcast topic is Freelancing 101. So Shaylah kind of brings that unique element to the full-time team. We've all worked in multiple different, professional spaces and creative spaces, more traditional spaces. But Shaylah is one of the first team members to join that is currently still freelancing in her own capacity while being a team member. So we're very excited to kind of just delve into the topic a bit more. What is freelancing? How does it work? What does it look like in the South African landscape? And just offering you guys some value and some insight into the industry and the space. Actually, I can't even get started with the podcast topic because we have a podcast planning document. And the first thing that Shaylah wrote down in this document is
the most important thing.
The viral TikTok. So if you didn't know, we had a TikTok go over 2 million views this week. And it is a video of Shaylah
2 days,
her
2 million views. They love me.
Showcasing her facial expressions. But I have to give credit where credit is due, and Kate did come up with the concept. And
Shout out
she
my girl
filmed it,
Kate.
and she posted it.
I'm not going to lie.
Just saying.
When Kate tagged me in that video, I was literally like, Kate, how could you?
Were you upset when the first one was?
I was shocked, to say the
so
least.
Funny. Everyone always feels like so embarrassed until it does well, and they're like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah, that's
it
me.
actually paid off."
I planned this.
Now that we've covered Shaylah's fame, I want to kind of delve into the topic of freelancing. So to get started, Shaylah, what is freelancing?
Freelancing is basically you working for yourself, lending out your skills and your talents to various companies and people on a flexible basis.
100%. And I think, the key word is flexible basis. That's kind of what differentiates it. As a freelancer, you essentially decide your workload based off of the capacity that you have across whatever else you might be doing.
Which is also dangerous if you don't know how to cut it off. Because me, guys, I don't have working hours. I don't know what that is. I just work until the work is done, and the work is never done. So,
I mean, on the grind.
yeah.
I respect it. I respect it. So now that we've covered what freelancing is, let's give everyone a bit of an insight into your world. What does the day-to-day life of a freelancer in the creative space look like?
I was really hoping you were going to say, what does the day-to-day life in Shaylah's world look like? You missed
What
that.
does the day-to-day life in Shaylah's world look like?
I'm glad you asked.
Actually, I didn't ask. I got told to ask.
Anyways, so with freelancing, no day looks the same, firstly. So it's very difficult to say, like, waking up in the morning, this is what I do. Project-wise, I kind of have the same projects on a continuous basis. Starting with, I usually design logos. So sometimes a company or a person will come to me and be like, I need a logo for my company. This is the name. These are the colors. Or they'll just be like, I need a logo. Figure it out. I'm not going to lie. I do like both, actually.
You like
because
a challenge?
I like a challenge. And sometimes it's actually more challenging when they give you a brief, because
People have unspoken expectations before they even know that they do.
so sometimes when they don't know what they want, it's actually easier to just deliver.
Yep.
But also it's nice to have a little bit of
Guidance.
Yeah.
I hear
So
you.
yeah, starting with logos, and then for some people move on to brand identity. So I do the full brand kit, typography, color palette, markups. I love markups.
We all do. They're
Yeah.
the best.
The best thing ever. So I could just hire me to be a markup designer.
Yeah.
I'd do it. I would do it.
100%.
So that's what it looks like. And then for some of these companies that I've designed full brand identities for, I've also then gone into social media and have been designing graphics for them and given them a social media footprint. So that's kind of what my day-to-day looks like.
I love to hear it. I think it's also very cool that you're kind of expanding into that social media supply chain. You know, sometimes freelancers kind of stick to their niche, which is completely understandable. If you do something well and you can earn bank off of it, why stop? But I think it's very cool to see when people kind of expand their services and learn new things.
I literally had a client who was like, can you make me an animation for my logo? And I was like, I don't know how to do that. But I was like,
I'll try.
Give me 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, I studied everything.
You can animate?
Yeah. I told myself. Because I was like, I need to do this. So I was like,
Shaylah, this is an untapped skill.
So I was like, give me 2 weeks, downloaded After Effects, learned how to do it. And then I was like, here you go.
We were literally interviewing for people that can do After Effects.
I'm so sorry.
Well, good to know she doesn't read our Instagram posts. Good to know she doesn't look at job descriptions.
I sent them to everybody else. Like, you would do great too.
You would be amazing in this, sweetie. I don't know about myself, but everyone else.
Freelancing gives you that flexibility though, to be like, hold on, I can learn how to do this though.
100%.
And I will come back to you. Yeah.
100%. And I love that. I think it's very unique compared to like your conventional 9 to 5. So obviously you've been with the full-time team for about 2 weeks on an employment basis, but you were an intern with us for quite a bit longer before. I would love to know what the biggest key difference is between, you know, freelancing in your own capacity versus joining us as a team now.
I think firstly, it's the time management. When I work for myself, I could literally get a huge project and work on it for the night and just finish it all in one sitting because
Full send.
Yeah. Working under pressure is that's my thing. That's my jam. But when you're working with a company and people, there's a different kind of expectation because you working under pressure means you're automatically putting other people under pressure. So it's been an adjustment to know how to work with other people in mind, which has been so different from when you're freelancing. Like, you're the only person that you need to think about. So when you're working under pressure for yourself, it's a very, very different dynamic from making sure you've got everything in line so that your team can also move swiftly. So
100%. Yeah. I think, like, if I can speak from a team member perspective, it's also very different. You know, you mentioned kind of being able to decide whenever you work. You know your deadline is Friday, but if you want to do it on Friday morning, you have the capacity to do that as a sole individual. Whereas if you're working with a team, there's other people that are holding you accountable to the fact that, you know, you might want to work on it on Friday morning, but if it has to pass through other channels before it can be a finished deliverable, you need to, you know, produce that stuff before then. So it is very interesting. I think within the freelancer versus like this conventional 9 to 5 space, there's always comparisons being drawn, but it's always interesting to hear that, you know, even within our company, which is very collaborative and very creative, that there's still such stark differences.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of those, but it makes a lot of sense.
Guys, I'm a people pleaser. I can have 5 things due today and someone will be like, can you please do me a favor? And I'll be like, sure, I'll do it now. Just give it to me.
Something we need to unpack.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
It is a problem. Let's chat about that. I think I need to be heard.
Where does it stem from?
I'm so glad you asked.
Let's not even start. For everyone listening, if you had to summarize what you have learned most from the freelancing space into one word, what would that word be?
Boundaries.
Boundaries. Okay, unpack that a little.
It's boundaries with your time, boundaries with setting money prices, boundaries with how you communicate with your clients. Like, boundaries are, in a sense, the primary rule of freelancing, because it's very easy to fall into this, I don't know what I'm doing because I'm freelancing, so let's just see what happens and go with the flow. And when it comes to communication, if you don't have boundaries, they will message you every day at all times and expect work from you every day at all times. And it's like, if you don't have boundaries with that, then it falls into not having boundaries with the time you spend on people's projects and falling into not having boundaries on the work that you do for them and how much you charge for the work that you do for them.
100%.
Also very dangerous if you don't have boundaries. You'll be like, okay, I'm going to do this for you. And they're like, just add this.
How about that?
And then you're like, okay. And now you've built their business for $5,000.
Keyword, people, boundaries. Set boundaries when it comes to your time. Set boundaries when it comes to the prices you charge. Set boundaries when it comes to communication. And I think, from a full-time perspective, we can speak on this, all of us. From a personal and professional perspective, you need to put boundaries when it comes to communication.
You guys are so good at that. That is like one thing I've seen and I've been like,
we've learned the hard way.
You guys are so good at communicating with your clients. I feel like obviously there's the moments where you're like, I don't know what to do. But for the most part, you guys are like really good at it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think it is something we've worked really hard on. And, if we ever get the feedback from a client that they weren't happy with how we managed their account, the client communication wasn't up to par, that is something we take very seriously. Because at the end of the day, if you can't connect with your client, you're missing the point. Like, then you're not going to deliver the quality of the output that they want. You're going to miss the brief. You're going to misunderstand what they want you to do. Like, the quality of communication is unreal. So guys, boundaries are important.
Know your worth, guys. Know your worth when you're freelancing, because if you do not know your worth, you will get taken advantage of from day one to the day you quit. If you don't know your worth, you will charge pennies for the work that takes you hours. And you will put in your heart and soul. And without knowing your worth, you will never charge what you deserve. I think that also when you're working, especially in the creative industry, it comes from the heart a lot of the time. I feel like as a creative, a lot of the work you do comes from the heart.
Let's be vulnerable, okay? The 4Words podcast is a safe space. I will tell you the least that Kate and I have worked for.
Okay.
And what it consisted of.
Okay.
And I would love to hear what the least is that you've charged for a project.
I have to think about this.
In terms of like underselling yourself. So for example, if you charged 50 Rand for a graphic revision, that doesn't count. It needs to be like a project that you should have charged 1,000 Rand and you charged 200.
Okay, I've got it.
Go for it.
So obviously I do brand kits. And so brand kits, guys, brand kits are a lot of work. Like they're a lot of work. When I started out, like the second brand kit I did, full on multiple logos.
Oh, no.
And this was like me when I was like at my peak. I was like, I'm going to give them everything. I charged 250 Rand.
Shaylah.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
That was my on my price list. I was like, brand kits, 250 Rand.
Okay, but you've increased your prices since then. You've learned a lot more.
I've learned,
You've learned how to price your services. From our side, Kate and I did like a full social media management package across Instagram and Facebook with up to 4 or 5 posts per week on each of the platforms, social media engagement, community management, caption writing, graphic design, everything for 800 Rand a month.
And that's a full-time job.
And we did that for almost a year. But the most referrals we've ever gotten came from that client that paid us 800 Rand a month.
Guys, sometimes we landed the most difficult clients.
We literally landed 4 or 5 clients through that referral. So I think kind of to circle off with the conversation around pricing, because I know it is a sensitive topic. I think within the creative space, everyone needs to start somewhere. Everyone is going to have their first price. And then as you grow, as you learn more, as you figure out how to best package your service and how to optimize your service offering, like what makes you different to every other graphic designer? What can you offer your clients that's unique? Is it your client communication? Is it your attention to detail? Is it your turnaround time? There's so many different things you can take into consideration to make your service more desirable. And as you do those things, you increase your prices incrementally. You can't come out the gates and charge these astronomical prices if you can't kind of deliver on that promise.
And I think as your experience grows, your work gets better. So you have a bigger portfolio, your work is better. And so I think at that point you could actually increase. And so I think it is also when you're starting out, start out knowing how to charge based on your experience as well.
Facts. Then if I can just add my 2 cents on freelancing, because obviously it's not something I've exclusively done, but
would you do it?
I don't think I would do it as an additional. I think it is something I would very much encourage within the full-time space. This whole concept of multiple streams of income and kind of, building this entrepreneurial spirit is how you can expand how much money you're making, the experience you're gaining, the life you're trying to build. Obviously, everyone has different goals, but that's always just something we've really aligned on in the team. And I love the concept of being able to do it on top of other things.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it takes someone so motivated and so passionate to work a 9 to 5 and freelance on the side, to work at a creative agency and freelance on the side. Like there's so much beauty in being able to say like, I have a full-time job, but I'm still taking the time to have my own client relationships, to build my own skills, to earn more money for something that I enjoy and I'm passionate about. Like I respect that so much about freelancers.
I think that building your skills for me is so much fun. I'm literally like, what's next?
That's so beautiful.
Next is UI UX design. Watch this space.
Love that. That's something we will utilize. Would love
But
to
yeah,
have
I
it.
think that with freelancing, it's always important to have a mindset of where to next.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to be like, this is good enough. I'm done here.
Never
but
get stagnant.
Never get stagnant.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So to summarize what we spoke about today on this podcast, we covered freelancing 101. So we spoke about, we had to touch on Shaylah's viral TikTok.
Because I'm famous.
She would not let us move past it.
Because I'm famous.
Yeah, you're famous. Well done.
Thank you. I just sense so much jealousy. You should understand my hype right now.
No, but we're also humble, Shay.
You.
I think there's some beauty in humility.
I think there's beauty in humility. But I think that, guys, sometimes you need to give yourself the moment you deserve.
Sometimes, not all the time.
Guys, I just arrived. I just arrived. But anyway, tomorrow I'll get over it.
No, it's fine. You can milk it for all that it's worth. I respect it. I respect it. So we covered her viral TikTok, and then we moved through and kind of just figured out, you know, what freelancing is. We spoke about what Shaylah has learned from it the most, and, you know, how she compares that to her work here at full time, because I think that is something that a lot of freelancers do. They juggle multiple things. And then we kind of covered my views on freelancing as a non-freelancer, with a lot of respect for the craft and a lot of respect for the space. I'm very excited to see how freelancing grows within the South African space. It isn't something that I think is massive just yet. Not every second person offers their skills in a freelancing capacity, but I'd love to see the space grow.
I think it's such a big industry, especially the creative freelancing industry.
100%.
I feel like there's always somebody who needs these services. So it's a huge industry, even in South Africa.
I'm very excited to see it grow even bigger. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy that you took the time to chat with me on
This
the
was
podcast.
so much fun.
I'm so glad.
I will
For
be
those
back.
of you that don't know, Shaylah is a notorious quiet speaker. Throughout
Thank
this
you.
whole podcast, Kate has literally been doing this. Telling
I'm
Shaylah
sorry.
to speak louder.
I don't know why you guys speak loud.
It is a podcast.
This is my first
bruh.
podcast. Bruh.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
It's my first podcast ever as well.
Okay, but
These
this is
ones.
my first podcast episode. So I'm trying to steal all my moments.
I'm so sorry. It's not trying to steal them. It's literally just trying to relate to you as a human being.
I appreciate
Jammer.
it.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Shaylah, we will definitely have you on again,
you.
especially if people sound off in the comments that they want to see more of you.
I love that.
Compared to the TikTok, I think you're going to be, I think you're going to be pretty happy.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. This was so much fun.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below. Our next podcast will cover UGC, which is something that we are so excited to get
It's hard.
a little bit more involved in.
So hard.
It's something we've been expanding on quite a bit within our company, and we'd love to walk you through how we do it and what it consists of. But until then, I hope you all have a beautiful day, night, evening, morning, rest of your week, and we will catch you in the next episode of the 4Words podcast.
Bye, guys.